What's good? Yeah.
Well, let's start off with something fun. Anybody got good deals or anything exciting happening in your investing? Anybody just sell something and just made a ton of money? Or, also good is if you sold something and lost a ton of money, but learned a lot. Like that's also equally as important. Anybody got any cool stories to share? Share?
Well, oh, why don't we leave out? Well, start off with maybe some updates on the wholesaling side. Do we have any new news, Kiko, or no?
There's not a lot of new news going on right now. It's pretty much the same as before. There's a lot of states. Texas just sent out, the Texas Real Estate Commission sent out a survey to everybody in their database asking about the perspective of wholesalers and seeing what people's thoughts are. I think they're gathering intel to try to figure out if they're going to push. Texas is conservative usually as a state. So if this pushes past and actually becomes something in Texas, then other states may kind of follow. So Texas is pretty proactive because they're the first ones that have really taken a current stance anyways. There's a couple of other states that have done, I have a bunch of notes. There's a couple other states that have already started to really take a look at putting more parameters around wholesaling. I think the tough thing is that there's a lot of different definitions as to what wholesaling is. So I think there's a definitional thing first that has to happen. The main contentions, if you're all paying attention to the space, is the National Association of Realtors are suggesting and highly pushing the fact that anybody who does any type of representation of a sale of real estate is technically brokering a deal, which should require a license. So that's their contention. And then there's also the concern from the licensing side of NAR that wholesalers are largely unregulated. There's no disclosure requirement. So there could be really a lot of bad actors in the space, which could potentially hurt people that are innocent bystanders. And some of those innocent bystanders are the sellers, because when you're licensed as a realtor, you have a fiduciary duty to help the seller get as much as they can for the house. Wholesalers, the objective is opposite. It's trying to get them to sell it for the lowest amount possible. So you're trying to convince them that their house is worth a lot less. So in some ways, National Association of Realtors is like, hey, that's just not the right way to do business. The right way to take care of people in real estate is to help them maximize the value of their homes. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people out there that are wholesalers that have taken advantage of people in situations. So the classes that seem to get targeted is unfortunately the elderly and minorities that don't speak English well. So in this day and age, when you target minorities and that, or you group minorities together, then there's all kinds of drama, and all these different groups want to come out and try to support that demographic. So it's an interesting conversation. I'm supposed to be interviewing Jerry Norton sometime next week to do a Zoom video with him to try to sort through. He's the main guy with Pace Morby and a couple others who are trying to create an association of wholesalers to fight against NAR. And I think the fight is very unknown at this point, exactly what that looks like, because what's the fight? Is the fight to say, hey, no regulations, leave us alone, everybody go away? Or is the fight to say, hey, where's the happy medium? Maybe there are some regulations that need to be put in place. So it'll be interesting to see. Why this impacts all of us on this call is that many of us are probably wholesalers and we don't really intend to be, but if we ever gotten a deal or seen a deal that we're like, hey, that's not quite our best deal for us to take on, and we pass it on to somebody else, technically you've just wholesaled if you've ever taken a little bit of a fee on top of that. So many of us have done that. And some of us, we do source direct to seller. And if you do direct to seller contact, mailers, anything like that, you're a wholesaler technically. So that impacts our space. Those of us in the bridge lending space, AKA hard money, private financing, it impacts us quite a bit, because a lot of the bridge lending space, our business pipeline is a significant part of the customer base. One of our national lenders, I was on a call with him yesterday, and he was anti doing anything. But then he had his underwriters do a report, And he found out that 80% of their loans all had assignment fees, which means that they are all wholesale deals. And so if the wholesale arena was to disappear, if NAR had their way, then a lot of our pipeline for hard money lending would essentially change pretty dramatically. So that'll be pretty interesting. So anyway, so the action steps right now, if anybody has any connections, if you're watching any videos or see any news updates in this space, would you just send a link to us? I'm on the active committee that is researching a lot of this and trying to do a lot of interviews to help educate the private lending space. And if you have any contacts with anybody who's an influencer in this space, like Pace Morby, or you happen to know somebody who's really pushing the wholesale side, we're trying to get some interviews with some pretty dynamic wholesalers to help give the lens as to what the agenda is and why it's important to protect the space. Yeah, that's kind of the update. Sorry, that was a little bit longer than I anticipated. Anybody?
That's great. It's good to keep eyes on. Does anybody have any thing on this topic before we move on? All right. Well, why don't we go into our leads, needs, and good deeds? Does anybody got anything on the line? Anything they need? We were curious to hear about those who went to Ryan Panetta's conference a couple weeks ago. So I know Aiden, you went, right? And we wanted to see if we could like go around the room and just ask like what's one nugget that you took away from, you know, that conference. That way we can kind of piggyback on what you guys learned, or what was a good talking point. Aiden, you got anything?
Yeah, definitely. I think something that was the biggest takeaway that I got from the conference, education wise from that, was systems and the importance of systems and the importance of a CRM, the importance of having something in place. Because before I'm kind of scrambled. I have like probably 20 different Google Sheets out there. I'm trying to manage a lot of different things. And so over there, I really saw the value from talking to people, from the speakers, about having systems in place and building out a team and outsourcing things to maybe people who have a better knowledge or better gifting in that area. So I was able to team up with a couple people from Hawaii to hopefully do some things and leverage my time better and implement some CRMs for myself. Nice. So
yeah, Ryan must have some great systems and processes because he's got a lot going on, right? So
oh yeah, like six companies.
Wow,
it's crazy.
That is, yeah, it's a big operation. Anyone else go to Ryan's conference and got anything to share, or they want to share?
Yeah, I went to the conference. It was great. Aiden was crushing it there, by the way. So you guys had good representation. Echo.
Oh, awesome.
But then I think the big thing was like Aiden was saying, the way that he builds the systems and also teams. And so I think like systems and teams are a big reason why he's been so successful. And then he had his coach, his business coach, Gary Harper, kind of come and help us like break down some of the stuff that they helped Ryan build his team with. And I think Gary Harper said there's like 3 things you always want to look in an employee or a teammate. Is one was trust, like very important. And so like you want to make sure that you can trust them. The next one is like the fit or like their experience level. That's the one thing where you don't need to have all of it up front. You can train that, but just like as long as they're compatible, have the skill set or the background. They're big on the DISC profile or the personality test to kind of make sure that the person is going to enjoy what they're doing and it's going to give them energy, right? Versus like kind of be an energy suck for whatever role that they're in. And then the last one was just making sure that they're hungry or they want to be there. You don't want anybody in your team who is just kind of like there as a last resort, or they're there just as the stepping stone to like do something else. And they want somebody. So those are kind of like the 3 kind of takeaways for like a team member. And then he's also said that it's important for them to share like your core values as far as like what's important for you on your team. And so he said when he first started, he hired like his friends and they just naturally all share the same values. That's part of the reason why they're friends, right? Because they got along, they thought alike. And so he said he lucked into hiring like good people in the beginning because he hired his friends, but later on he realized how important it was to make sure that the guys you bring in the team are aligned with like your personal core values of like where you're trying to go. And so that was like really helpful.
Oh yeah, that's another good one. That's kind of similar, right?
What were the assessments again, Daniel? He did DISC and which one?
There's a personality indicators. I think it's specific to Ryan, or he offers it through his thing, but it's like some kind of it's very similar to DISC. I think there's like there's a DISC where like what's your natural tendency, and there's a DISC where you kind of like force yourself to be just to fit in the world or whatever it is to accomplish your goals, right? But your natural DISC is what gives you energy when you're doing the task. So if you like to be steady, or you like consistent work, or you like to be more adventurous and you like talking to people, whatever it is that naturally gives you energy, you want to align the person in those roles because they're going to shine. They're going to be able to have like, I mean, they're going to enjoy the role like way more than if they're not, right? And so that's like a big thing.
Love it.
That's good stuff. What about his core values? Did you get to go over his core values, and did you notice
It
anything?
was there's 4 of them. There was I think it's like work hard. I think he probably has a YouTube somewhere, like around somewhere. It was like I think like honestly I forget what they were, but he said he originally had 5, but then like so the core values he said is like non-negotiable, right? So I think originally he had 5, and then the 5th one was something like I think the 5th one might have been like work hard, like, or work long hours or something along those lines. But he says like, so when he talked to his coach said like, if they have all 4 but they don't have the 5th, would you still hire them? And then after like a lot of thinking, he said, you know, like I really like the 5th, but it's not non-negotiable, so that's not going to be a core value. So then, but I don't remember what they were. Maybe you can Google it or YouTube it. I think he probably has some kind of content out there where he talks about it. So
Oh, I love it. I love that. Yeah, maintaining the culture in the company is everything, right?
mhm. But it's easier if everybody kind of comes along with the same mindset, right? Versus you having to like kind of keep it enforcing or change it. But if they naturally have to share your core values, it's easier to kind of maintain that culture, right? And so
yeah, thanks for sharing, Daniel.
sure.
Was anyone else there? Sounds like there was some good stuff.
I went to the mastermind a couple weeks ago.
Hey, Joey. Yeah.
Hi guys. Yeah, so like so I met a lot of investors and everyone just about taking action. And since then I've been almost mentally exhausted because like been trying to network with with some of my investor friends here and agents, been talking with Gio, trying to looking for deals on wahooari.com, and just been grinding to learn the calculations and numbers and understand the ARV, the everything. And so far I've had like 3 offers that we try to submit, got denied because we got a higher offer. We tried to get a Waimanalo house this last week, didn't work out because we offered around mid 650 or something like that on a max offer, and then a mainland investor got mid 750, so that was a bummer. We were gonna get something at 11 Heights, and we got like about it was a 799 listing price. We tried to get like an 830 at max, and then they were getting more offers, 860, 895. And one of the things I wanted to do was increase the ARV to like 1.5, just so that way we could, with the rehab costs and all that kind of stuff, so that way we could do that. And then Gio told me, oh, we shouldn't really bank on appreciation so much because what if there's a crash next few months and then we end up going in the red. So that I'm still trying to learn as I go. I'm going to like open houses every week. Last week I went to 3 open houses, potential deals. How it didn't work out. I'm still trying to figure things out. I'm a bit like not stressed out a little bit, trying to figure out how the thing's gonna work with Zillow. And so recently last week I turned in my application to become a realtor. So I gotta wait a little more than a month for that, see what happens. My goal right now is to get my rejections out of the way, understand the systems, network as much people as I can, and get uncomfortable doing the uncomfortable kind of stuff. So that's my part of it.
I love it, Joey. Yeah, I think you're doing the right things, and you know, if anyone else in the room has anything to help Joey too, but it sounds like you're doing the right things, and if it's the same Gio who I know, like you're in good hands. Is it
No,
Gio Gonzalez?
no, Giovanni, he's a real estate agent for EXP. He given us a
Okay,
mastermind. I'm not sure,
Giovanni.
Brendan. He's
But
doing well.
I don't think I know him, but
Yeah.
if he's giving you that advice where it's like you don't want to bank on appreciation, then it sounds like a smart guy, because
Yeah.
for sure you don't want to do that. But I think you're doing the right things, and if anyone has anything for Joy to help him out, let him know. Drop your contact. But what do you have anything under contract yet, or?
Well, like I said, I tried to get those three offers the past couple weeks. One in Eva Beach, ended up being third in line. This was like when he came off the mastermind, found us on this rundown property in Eva Villages for like 675. We tried to get something close, and there's already an offer, so we ended up being third in line. So at least we got able to do something. And then the two other offers and three other offers like we had this week and last week ended up having a better offer than us. But the fact that I'm putting the amount of work looking at homes, looking at comps, trying what the 4x1 like. So this one on Kealia Street in Level Heights, it's a 4x1 on tax record, 2x1 physically. I wanted to be able to get that deal, but then we look at needs major repair. And looking at that as a risk on a first deal, and I really wanted to get it to 1.5, but Jim wants it 1.3 to make it make sense on the numbers in terms of everything. Like I'm always on every deal, I'm putting down 12% interest rate and 4% points with 6 months on holding time. And because I think that's the typical for hard money lenders, right? Is that usually typical? That's
No,
how I do down my.
yeah, no. Well, it depends, because if it's a hard money lender who's using his own capital, then it could get that expensive. 12% and 4 points is a lot. Ours is typically we go to 8 to 11%, but we haven't. I don't think we did a loan in the double digits in a while. So
Okay.
but yeah, that's 12 and 4 that's expensive. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you recommend putting in my calculations from here on out? Because I know like the ARV just drastically affects how I put the max offer. Right now, I'm using Ryan Pineda's calculator to do these calculations. I'm not sure why my bigger pockets calculator isn't doing so well.
Mhm.
That's how I keep using it every day, and I'm trying to do the best I can.
Yeah. It's hard to tell what the interest rate will be for you, because it depends on your experience, your credit, and I don't want to ask you in front of everybody here. So,
Okay.
but like the deal has to be strong too. It matters about the deal. But I would say for a new investor coming to us, I mean, Aiden, what do you think you would get priced at?
Just to be conservative, I mean, this is the max. I would say run at 10 and 2.5.
10, 2.5. Okay.
Yeah, maybe 10 and
Just to
2.5.
that's still keeping it conservative on your side. So
If your partner has experience, then it's possible that we can get that substantially lower. But I would start there if it's for you.
Okay.
Joey, do you have a partner?
So main thing I'm still trying to look for some partners. I found someone named Nathan. I met him at the mastermind. He's done about 15 flips. Gio recommended that to me. And then I got recommend. I was told like I should go partner up with Warren or Stacy. But when I talked to Indar's partner last week at his meeting over in Waikiki, he told me I should start partnering with someone that has at least 5 deals to build that momentum and learn from that experience. I'm not sure if that should be the right point or not.
I would say, and Corey and I've been partnering for years, but a big part of partnerships is just like what Ryan Pineda said about core values is interview your partners based on the similarity of values. not
Right.
necessarily their resume, because I could tell you a bunch of guys who flipped 200 houses that I wouldn't want to be stuck in the elevator with them because I don't trust them that badly, you know? And so I would definitely not go with, you know, their resume, although that does help. So, but I was going to say a partner's great, especially if you're just getting started. Find somebody who you trust, that you enjoy. I do an airplane test, which basically means, could I sit next to this guy for 5 hours on an airplane? Because I mean, do I like the guy enough, right? To be able to hang out with him and listen and talk and feel like, hey, we're cool. Because partnerships are tough. And the old sayings goes, the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. And that's a good old saying, because most of the time they fall apart. So be careful. But yeah, definitely, if you're just getting started, find a good partner. And the people that are on this call, man, just take a look at these names and faces, and then just try to figure out a way to link up with some of them. And you know, you hear people sharing pretty regularly, and you're just like, hey, that guy seems cool, or that gal seems cool. I wonder what meetup they go to. And then just kind of, you know, stalk them at a distance. Apparently stalking is cool these days on social media, and, you know, going to different meetups. So stalk away. But the other question I was going to ask you, Joey, you know, you said you kind of lost out on some deals. Is it because you're getting lost? You're losing it because others are bidding higher than you, or do you have any idea why you're losing the deals?
And so the Waimanalo one we had, this was listed about 610, is like attached to another house. We were trying to get it about, I don't know, 630, 635, 650, I think. I forget what the max offer we had. And then we had a good chance on that. And then we turned that offer in, and then all of a sudden we hear that mainland investor got a mid 70s, no, mid 700, 750 offer. And that was gonna go beyond our max offer based off like potential rehab costs. Again, so what I use for the rehab costs, I use the house square feet, and I usually use like a guesstimate based on how the condition of the house is. So it's something between $80 to $150 per square foot, and I kind of be discretionary about how the condition. So I kind of like look at how it looks. Let's say if it's really bad, and let's say 130 or 150.
Do you
So
have
that's
a
what-
contractor yet, Joey? Do you have a general contractor that you work with at all yet, or know of?
Not yet. All I know is that everyone's telling me just find the deal and the money will come. But I know I have friends who work construction. I'm planning to ask them who their general contractors is, and I have a friend who has a dad who's just contracting. So I wanted to focus on that, and then what everyone's telling me, just find the deal and money will come. Kind of that's
Yeah,
kind of hard.
I hear that all the time, and I think it's hard to really define that, because maybe you're looking at a deal, but you're overestimating rehab costs. So you're actually passing on a deal because you're, say, putting too much in the budget on the rehab side. And so then you passed a deal, right? And I'm not saying that's what's happening here. I'm just saying, when you're looking at deals, it's also good to build your power team. So build some really good agents, build some really good partners that you might partner with on a deal, and then find yourself a bunch of subcontractors and contractors. One of the best things that, you know, like Corey and I do now, when we go look at a deal, we take out people who we can estimate costs on site. And so that way, you know, I mean, $150 a square seems reasonable, but most of us who flip houses, like that's quite a bit of money to put in, 150 a square foot for rehab. So there's times in which you're like, I don't need a new kitchen. I'm going to paint the cabinets, and I'm going to put quartz, and I'm going to repaint the drywall, and overall looks really good. And so then you're looking at it and you're like, man, I'm $50 a square. And at $50 a square, you know, I can make this deal work. But at $150 a square, this is not a deal. And so therefore I'm passing on a deal, or I'm not bidding as high as I could, because there's actually more margin. So just the thought is just find some contractors that you can interview and get to know them. And again, stalk them, because they're hard to find good contractors. Corey and I have gone through a lot. We have contractors who've stolen our money and walked away. And so it's hard to find them, but again, find them with core values. But then they're like your best friend. And once you have a great relationship with them, you're like, hey, bro, let's just go out. We're going to go look at one house in Waimanalo. I just need you to come get me some back of the envelope estimates. And their back of the envelope eyes on a project is going to be much better than just generically $150 a square foot.
Yeah, on the topic of contracting. So one one of my best friends from high school. So he works with his dad and his GC, but like he's like jack of all trades kind of thing. But he said like if I had a found out deal, he said he would be able to do like the project himself and pay cash. Is that a good idea or a bad idea? Because like he does really great work and everything. It would be a significantly less price. It would kind of be a cash kind of thing. So is that a good idea or a bad idea?
I think it's yeah, it's an option. I'd say it's an option, but just like anything else, I think there's got to be like a clear game plan and expectations set very solid up front before hiring him or going into a partnership with him on a project. So yeah, but if he has a lot of experience and you know him real well and you trust him, you get along, then why not? I think that's huge. Yeah, but I would think mainly right now the market right now is ruthless for buyers. It's probably the most competitive I've ever seen, and so I think it's just important to keep doing what you're doing. Stick to your gut, and I would be very careful about trying to force the numbers. Like you were mentioning, lifting the ARV. You definitely don't want to do that. Just keep it as logical as you can, because we can get caught up in the frenzy, and that's how people get hurt. In the industry. So just know that you're coming in at a time where it's probably the hardest time right now to score a deal or find a deal. So looking off market is probably your best bet. Otherwise, you're going to be bidding with everyone else on market. But just be patient, stay disciplined, and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good.
Perfect. Right on, Joey. We got some questions here too. Here's Harmony. Hi, Harmony. If you pay cash for your whole rehab, income from the flip will look much higher. Oh, that's a good, yeah. Okay. How's everything going, Harmony? You got anything going on?
Just looking for deals and working on a couple HELOCs for other properties at the moment.
Oh, nice. Oh, you're HELOCs, right?
Yeah, HELOCs on 2 properties that we currently own. Yeah, just getting more down payment money for the next project.
Nice. Yeah. Did you guys end up selling any of the ones that you guys had?
We sold 2 properties last year and picked up 3 more. So yeah, thinking about selling some of them this summer. They're 2 of them are condos in Waikiki, and both of those buildings are a lot of mainland Canadian and Asian buyers. And so if the Asian buyers come back, they're saying they have so much pent up demand, we're guessing the value in that building will go up much higher. So just waiting to see on those.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for jumping on, Harmony.
Yeah. Otherwise, the cash flow is great these days. There's visitors like crazy.
Yeah.
Are you doing short-term rentals on those?
I have 1 nightly rental and 2 monthly rentals. And I've done monthly rentals for over 10 years in Waikiki. And it's worked great. Even through COVID, I did really well.
And then, so for those on the call that are like, oh, I thought I heard that you can't do nightly rentals right now in Hawaii, it's got to be 30-day minimum. What's the update that you have on that?
So it depends on the building. Our building, the nightly rental one we do is in a condo, and it's zoned for that. It's in the resort zone, and so it's no problem. But they're trying to pass legislation making the definition of short-term rentals from 30 days to 90 days. And that seems to be moving forward. So that will be a big issue for people who are not in resort zones and don't have the permits, and they're currently doing monthly rentals. But we'll see what happens there.
So you think that as long as you're in the resort zone, you should be immune from that proposition from 30 to 60 then?
Possibly as it reads right now, but they keep changing it. And so it's hard to say if it goes through, what the final law is going to read.
That's awesome. That's good. That's good insight. Hey, when you decide to sell that, I might have somebody who'd be your buyer. So keep us updated.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're talking about doing something similar on Maui, and this may be the same thing that you're talking about. I'm not sure, but I believe there was something specific just for Maui where they want to, or certain lawmakers want to basically retract the rights for all of our condo hotels, vacation rental, resort condos to be able to do short-term rentals. And like my thoughts on that is like, maybe I think this is something different from what you're talking about, Harmony, but it's specific to Maui. But it's very, very similar along the same lines. And I feel like if something like that happens, it's gonna have such a big impact on our economy because all of those condos that are valued based on the income they produce are now gonna be worth like half of what they sell for. And I can see it like having, on one hand, creating a lot of housing, but also taking away a lot of jobs, and then also really hurting our housing and causing the homeowners that work their whole lives to buy something here to lose all their equity, get upside down, and go in foreclosure potentially. I don't know. Just curious, like what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I think the bill for the different islands are different. Maui's different from Oahu, but where we are in Waikiki, there's so many condos that are resort zone, and so those will continue to be the same way it always has been. The problem is going to come for people that are doing single family rentals in neighborhoods that, in Kailua, North Shore, that they bought their property based on rental numbers of monthly rentals. And then all of a sudden now they're going to have to do 3-month rentals. I mean, visitors will come and pay $10,000 a month for a house for a month, but are they going to do that for 3 months and pay 30 grand? Probably not. So some of those kind of nicer luxury homes that are doing monthly vacation rentals, their values might drop. That
sounds like a better proposal, what you're talking about. So I guess what Oahu is pitching, maybe, because again, like personally, I don't think the chances of this bill on Maui passing are very good, because it's just so drastic, and there's a lot of condos on Maui that are, I mean, like Corey knows because a couple of flips we did with him were condo hotels, and they were just a pain in the butt to do all the funding for it. But yeah, we have so many condo hotels and so many vacation rental condos, zoned resort condos on Maui. Turning those over, like they were built specifically for that purpose. And like, I'm not a big short-term rental proponent. I'm a big long-term rental, creating housing, fighting the shortage thing. But like, these things were built for that purpose. And people bought these like over the last 50, 60, 70 years for that purpose. It would be insane for them to take it away. But maybe we need to kind of look more like what Oahu is doing, because that's the real problem, right? With like taking the residential housing and people just coming in when it was the Wild West and turning those into Airbnbs. It's like what really, I don't know. Anyways, sorry, I don't want to start a whole political
I think
debate
that the intent of Oahu's bill was to get, those short-term rentals out of the neighborhoods, and back into Waikiki, but they've added so many things that don't make any sense. And they've rewritten it a couple times and taken some stuff out and put some stuff back in. But I haven't read the latest version, but it's still pretty detrimental to a lot of people. And some people, they just have their ohana unit in their backyard that they rent out to pay their mortgage to be able to live. And that's, that could be a big problem. We also on Oahu have tons of students, traveling nurses, people in between jobs and homes and things like that. So they're trying to put language in there to protect those rentals. But what I don't understand is how they're going to, regulate that.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't know if you guys have this, but on Maui, they have the short-term rental permit and then they have, and this is, you know, assuming you're not in a resort hotel zoned condo. Like if I wanted to put my house on Airbnb in Pukalani, right, totally residential, non-resort area, I could apply for a short-term rental permit, which is really hard to get, but you know, you can try. Or I could apply for, because I live in the house, the B&B permit. So that's like a really, I think it's a good option. Because like for me personally, like there was a time when I rented my guest room out. I had it on Airbnb for a short time, but I would not have rented that room. I would not have taken a full-time roommate, but it was a nice way to help me pay the mortgage. So like, I don't know, the B&B permit was a good solution for that sort of situation. It's just, from what I hear, it's not easy to get any of those permits these days.
Yeah, no, I don't even think they're giving them out anymore. And I think it is like more of a, if you do get a license when they opened it up for that short time, then I believe you still had to have lived on the property to operate, you know, renting as short term. So it wasn't ideal either. From what I heard, I didn't follow it too closely, to be honest. So, but yeah, that's scary to hear, Greg. Because like you're right, these guys, you know, people. How would you feel if you bought, you know, years ago, banking on that you can rent it out as short-term vacation rental and get that type of returns, and then they go ahead and change the rules on us, you know, and now we can't do that. So I hope they tread lightly on that, but it's something to keep eyes on for sure. Yeah,
you know what? There must be like, I don't know. I didn't really dig into it because I don't own vacation rentals. It's not my world. Like I flip them, but I don't keep them, which is probably dumb of me. I'd probably make more money if I did that. But I don't like. There's no way that they're gonna take like the Whaler on Conopoli Beach, right? I mean, it's basically a hotel. You can't turn, like, I don't know. I just couldn't imagine that properties like that. Maybe it's everything except condo hotels, because it's just, I don't know. The more I'm thinking about it, like, how on earth are they going to turn like Conopoli Shores, right? Like all these.
Well, the thing is, they don't. Who when you say they don't care, right? Like if they goes out of business or whatever, that's fine with them, right? So you basically would just sell for a lot cheaper. But then the hotels would have more occupancies, or I mean, it would help there once all these other options are not available, right? So I mean, it would suck for all the people who own the things there. Like, what would they do with it, right? They basically have to sell it to like a family for like a way cheaper. But like for as far as they really don't care about that, right?
And from my understanding, for previous owners, at least especially for if they own the properties before like the first of this year, they'll be grandfathered in. And so their equity, if they try to resell, you know, they're going to take a hit on the equity side, but they should still be able to operate, you know, if they bought it before 2022.
That's right. Thank you, Alex. Yeah, I totally forgot that. I did read that in the last, like, whatever the last kind of proposal was. There's like, you would be grandfathered in up until the next sale. So the next time the property records, which I wonder if that could even mean that you couldn't refinance without losing your short term, you know, because that counts as a deed recorded on the title. And I don't know if that would trigger the, I don't know. But anyways, it's a shit show. There's no solution that works for everybody, that works perfectly. You know, there's always going to be problems. But interesting time.
Yeah, I was you know, on our last MPLA call, John Hornick, he's a government official, right? He's a mayor. But he was saying basically, we don't want to be regulated by the government. And because he said government officials, they don't have the capacity to care enough to understand, you know, what the effects of some of these bills will be. So hearing it from him with passion, you know, it's kind of scary, you know, because he's a government official and he's basically saying, we don't want this because he knows what it's like. It's not going to get done, and it's gonna cause major problems. So I was just asking Alex, I was like, I wonder if I should play that clip if I can find it of John Hornick and talking about the wholesaling side, the issues there and how, there was actually, you know what? I wouldn't mind sharing it if you guys would, if I can find it and if we have time, but I guess before we, I'll look for the video, but before that, Kekoa does have a call at the top of the hour, so he's gonna jump off. And it is about the wholesaling issue. So Kekoa, is there anything you want to maybe ask to the room, or because I know Kamo High guys know Pace Morby, and Keone and stuff, and Daniel, I believe. So maybe that's something that you could take to this meeting. I don't know. While I look for this video.
Yeah, Daniel and I have touched base, Keone and I have touched base, and then I think Kamo High and we had touched base on who you guys knew too. So yeah, if anybody has any contacts in the wholesaling space of somebody pushing through the information, that'd be awesome, which would be fantastic. But outside of that, anybody have any needs that you're looking for right now? Any projects you need? It was great just to kind of run through Joey's deal.
Do we have anybody on the call investing in Big Island? We have a few. We get more and more leads over there. But just be good to know some of the other guys on Big Island for potential JV. We got one deal and a few more leads coming up.
Single family, multifamily?
Single family, yeah. Just flips.
Anybody interested in Big Island multifamily?
Oh yeah, okay, cool. Since he said in Big Island, so one of my other buddies, he's like he has like additional house on like cash flow for real estate in Pahoa, but he said like his tenants like mess it up a bit, and he's willing to sell it for 200K, and to like So I've been trying to, I want to see if there's any like realtors up in Pahoa around there, but then like I'm just trying to. That's like a deal that I could like work on. It's just a matter of like find those comps on Zillow and just trying to figure it out. But that's one thing that I'm trying to bank on too. And I mean, it's small, but I mean, I want to try to work with that.
Cool. So you're looking for an agent. So if anybody knows an agent, right, for Pahoa area,
An agent, GC,
okay,
around there.
Anybody know anybody like that? Drop a line there.
You know what, Joey?
We can connect. We have a deal in Pahoa right now that we're flipping. So we happy to pass on some contacts to you.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
And Joey, I'll drop my reach out to us too. Like, why don't we just meet up? Are you on Oahu?
Yeah, I'm over in Kalihi right now.
Okay, yeah, come down to the office. Maybe me, Kelly, and Aiden can sit down. We can help you out. We'll see what you need. Start digging in, and then we'll help you out.
All right. What times are usually available?
We can figure that out. Just text me, dude. I'm gonna drop my phone in the chat.
Okay. Sounds good.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah, I'm interested in an investment property that I can use as an Airbnb, short-term rental.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Craig. Okay.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Oh, where in Hawaii or another market?
Well, I'll be open to Hawaii, if something presents itself. Anything that kind of makes sense.
Gotcha. And did you say you're looking for something or you have something on the line?
I'm looking for something.
Short-term vacation rental.
Correct.
It doesn't matter if it's in Hawaii or.
I'm open to that discussion. If it's in Hawaii, that'd be great, but I'm open to other markets as well.
What kind of price range are you looking for?
Anywhere from maybe up to 250K.
Perfect. So, Craig, drop your email in the chat so that way anybody who's got anything can reach out to you.
All right.
Perfect. Something for us, if anybody gets any wind, if you're on any wholesale list and you get anything, we're looking for multi-families over 100 units, up to 150 mil. So if anybody sees anything come across your emails from wholesalers or anything like that, we have to roll some equity. So If you got any value adds, it doesn't matter anywhere in the country, we'll just run the numbers and check the demographics. And then if it turns out to be a deal that you help to find and source, then we'll see if we can figure out a way to bring you in the deal if we take it down. So please keep your eyes open for that. And then number two, again, so anybody who's got a contact, or if you hear of any podcasts having to do with this whole wholesaling thing, shoot it out to us. That'd be awesome. I'll drop my email and my phone number in the chat as well. And we're trying to really get some informational sources put together, so that way the National Association of Private Lenders can form a position either for or against National Association of Realtors, and then also trying to figure out who do we partner with in the wholesale space. So interesting times, but should be fun.
Right on. Well, I know you gotta get going for your call, but if you want, since we have a few minutes.
Did Corey disappear on us?
Yeah, Corey.
That's hilarious. Anybody else got anything? Jeremy, anything you need? Anything you're shopping for?
I'm good. Pretty much like I'm just trying to look for any private money lenders, you know, just stacking that capital and finding more deals. But it would be nice if you came with your tank though, you know.
I can't compete with that, bro. I know we were going to, but dude, look at that tattoo. Yeah, no, next week. It's tank top next week for everybody. Show off them guns. That's awesome. One day we'll go work out together and you'll embarrass me. I love it.
Hey Daniel, can you update us on your North Shore property? How's that coming?
Slow and steady. Yeah, I mean, it's chugging along slow and steady. We're gonna attempt to CPR it, so we're just kind of starting that process as well too. So we'll kind of see how that goes. I mean, so far so good, but just like, yeah, we're held up on there's like issues with like the septic and like a few like minor things that we're trying to figure out right now too. So, but just chugging along, going through like the process, you know. So yeah.
So you guys closed escrow on it. You own the house now?
Yeah, I mean, we put a new roof on top. The inside is kind of gutted basically right now. We're trying to figure out some of the septic, like we need to put a septic tank inside there. So there's like this timing issue with getting the septic and then getting like the drawings from the city with like the CPR process. Kamuhai will probably do a better job of explaining our hiccups or our hangups. But yeah, it's kind of like playing like you want to start one process that's going to take a long time, but then if like you can't have the inspector come out if it's in a certain condition, etc. And so there's this kind of like juggling act you're trying to go to like do as fast as you can, but at the same time not go too fast where you're gonna like kind of trip yourself up, you know. So
cool. Right on. Thinking about you guys.
Appreciate it. Send us some good vibes, man. We need some good vibes.
You guys got this, no problem. Roshan was asking about if anyone here is from Riverside, California. So I saw Joe responded. New Wealth Advisors Club is headquartered out there. I used to live there for 3 years. So yeah, welcome aboard, Roshan. All right, guys. Well, if you guys want to hang out and stick around, I'll play a little bit of the NPLA call if you'd like. I'll just screen share. Other than that, thank you guys for sharing. Thank you, Joy, for coming on and telling us about what how it's like getting started right now. We'll see if we can help you out. But one thing too, before I play this thing is, I am currently looking at a emerging market in the mainland, and I want to put it out there just right now because I want to do a little bit more due diligence to see how much of an opportunity this will be. The prices have already started to go up out there, but they haven't even. There's two big companies, one big pharmaceutical company and one big tech company that's moving into this area. So we're looking at what land is going for, what's the building processes and stuff, because who knows, maybe we just buy something and sit on it, because I'm getting this information from a family member who's part of one of the companies, and it's a big expansion. So last time they did this was in Plano, Texas, and where houses were like 100 to a couple 100,000.
I think everyone's frozen. Everyone might be frozen right now.
I think it's just Corey.
Sorry, guys. Yeah, we need to hardwire or something, fiber optic, whatever.
There you go, Spectrum to Hawaiian Tail. You need Hawaiian Tail.
Sorry, guys. Anyways, emerging market, hopefully I'm targeting right now. If it looks to be good, then of course I'm going to share it with all of us, and let's dig into it together, and then let's pull the trigger. It's going to be a good one, hopefully. But anyways, I'm going to just screen share for now, and then you guys can watch the video. I'll just cut it, midway through. Technically, these are private calls, so I can't show you the whole thing or send you the link. But of course, we're going to share whatever we can, right? So 1 second, guys. Let me play this. I hope you guys all have a great weekend, if I don't hear from you after.
I think what we spent most.
Can you guys
of our
hear
time
that?
on is a national effort by the National Association of Realtors.
Yeah.
To either outlaw or certainly restrict what wholesalers are able to do. I was a little bit ignorant as to how.
Is it frozen again?
Yeah, audio is down and frozen.
The audio is okay. Let me try now.
Source or from wholesalers.
There
That
we
has
go.
evolved quite a bit since I was, out in the field originating loans. But I think this is something that really ought to get our attention. I really believe that, once the NAR is successful in getting this banned and regulated in 6 states, they're just going to copy and paste and try to do this throughout the nation. And then the one question I want to ask you all is, what's after wholesalers? Whose pocket are they going to try to get into next? Who are they going to try to regulate next? So I would strongly encourage all of you to give this some thought and reach out to any of us on the legislative committee. We've been spending some time talking about this. I know Kakoa feels about as passionately about it as I do. And I'll leave it at that for now. John, you want to chime in?
Sure. Thanks, Jason. We had a legislative meeting yesterday, and on this particular issue, just for everybody to know what wholesaling is, we refer to it to an A to B to C transaction, where B is buying from A and selling to C, and C is the borrower from all the lenders. And there's obviously an increase from A to B to C. And all this legislation is looking at is regulating B, making them have a license and required disclosures. And some people may say, well, that's good because we don't.
Oh, there it is. Okay, share.
And government regulation helping business. I think it hurts business. And in this sense, I think it is something, to Jason's point, that, and to Leonard's point earlier, that we really have to watch, because just because it's being proposed in a certain state, in Pennsylvania, in this state, or in Washington, doesn't mean it can't find its way into your jurisdiction. And a place, and I'm going to talk about a couple bills in a little bit in New York, which we previously mentioned. And just because you're from Florida and doing deals in Florida, you don't have to care about it. That's wrong, because states look to leading states as bellwethers. California, New York, Florida, Texas. These are bellwether states that people get ideas from. And I will tell you, elected officials are not that smart. They try to replicate and try to make PR for themselves, and they will adopt the statute from another state because it passed there and sell it as good government. And it doesn't mean it's good government. So I like what we're doing on the legislative committee. I like the way that we're addressing things that may not directly impact lenders, but indirectly do and could end up to directly impacting us. So I'm in agreement with Jason and the committee on this point.
That was John
Ruben, you
Hornick,
had some thoughts
who's
on it.
the government
Anybody
official,
else,
the mayor.
Matthew?
I just want to object to John Hornick's statement that elected officials are not indulgent. I think I met mayors in New Jersey who are extremely indulgent, and I think they should be accepted.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Jason, pleasure. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. But yeah, I think wholesalers have a big role in our space, and I think that many of us, you know, as you said, Jason, are not even understanding what kind of role they play. And I did the same thing yesterday. I kind of looked back and just kind of went through all our files and seen how many deals were actually sourced through wholesalers, and I had almost about the same ratio as you did. But you know, I see the perspective as to why realtors and National Association of Realtors are trying to regulate this space, because again, they can't compete with the wholesalers. The wholesalers are taking away their business from future listings, but also the wholesalers are going above and beyond what most realtors have the capacity to do. You know, I myself, before starting and founding Wheeland, I was a wholesaler as well, and there's a lot of things that you have to do to maybe even clear a file to be able to sell it, because it could be in significant amount of financial distress, or whatever distress there may be, whether there's an occupant in the property. Most realtors don't take that upon themselves to cure, and I think wholesalers come in and go above and beyond to make sure that that is cured. So there is, I guess, points to be made on both sides. It's just a question of how will it affect our business is what really matters at this point.
I'm not sure it's clear that it will negatively impact the lending space. I think that it's probably in the best interest of private lenders that wholesalers be regulated, because lenders typically, there's probably more downside to the risk around a wholesale transaction being non-arm's length, with there being kickbacks in the background, with there being unscrupulous practices around the acquisition of the property. I view it as this is the kind of thing that private markets unfortunately can't regulate, because there's no penalty against doing wrong for the wholesalers. There's no way to incriminate them to right if transactions are non-arm's length, and a regulatory body could solve that. While I think in general government is not always good, in some cases in regulating situations like this, it may not be so bad.
I just want to say that there is, it's called fraud. If somebody is, there is a civil right of action. There's also criminal fraud. There's RICO, civil RICO, there's conspiracy. Just because someone has a license doesn't make them any less of a criminal. They could lose that license, but let me ask a question for everybody to think about on this phone. The way I view it is a wholesaler is a revenue source to lenders. They bring deals to them. Today, in most of your jurisdictions, your referral sources need to be licensed as licensed real estate brokers. Now, I'm not judging anybody here, but I know for certain that many people don't check the license on referral sources, finders, or sending it over. So it's the same concept. Requiring a wholesaler to be licensed doesn't make them legit. It just makes them go through more paperwork. I am a firm believer that if you're a criminal with a license or without it. And it's up to us to be able to underwrite and to vet whether the deal makes sense for itself. That's what makes us really good at what we do. I don't think, and I run a small government, do not look to the government to keep you safe in these regards. They don't have the capacity, and putting in a whole bunch of standards will not guarantee that.
Thank you, John.
Well, there it is, guys. Hopefully you got some value in that small segment of our call. Like I'm so blessed to be to be able to have a seat at that table and speak amongst these guys, and then provide whatever value I can, and I think the real value is me being able to learn and be alongside them and be a part of the conversation. And then relay that to everyone here on the call so that we're all aware, right? So hopefully, but it is scary to hear John, right, who's the mayor of Marlboro, New Jersey, basically saying, he's like, don't look to the government. Like, they don't have the capacity to do this the right way. And so we need to self-regulate. That's why the NPLA is there, and why it's been created. And, John Hornick, John Beecham with Turok, Eric Abramovich with Rock, all of these guys, those guys, they're pioneers in this space where when hard money started to become institutionalized and the big banks from Wall Street, started to come into the game, it was John Hornick, Leonard Rosen, Eric Abramovich, and John Beecham, all of those guys who we just saw were the pioneers who brought the institutional capital into the private lending space here in real estate. So we have a lot to be grateful for those guys. And there's to this day still fighting to protect our industry. So anyways, hope you guys have a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Hello, everybody. Aloha, Greg. Great to see you on.